Okay, so I'm recording now. Um, so no one's shown up. That's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and get started walking through the labs. So I plan to cover 2 labs today. Oh, maybe that's an email from someone who wants to attend. Do, do, do. Nope, that is just people telling me that there's starfish stuff. But we know that. So, So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to cover 2 of the labs. I'm going to do the Igneous Rock Lab and the Sedimentary Rock Lab today, and I'm going to post them both to the Zoom meetings and to the Igneous and Sedimentary Rock where they are in the modules. So Module 7 and Module 8. I actually wanted to do this way long time ago at the start of the class, but they hadn't sent me my kit. Um, and there's just been all sorts of, this is a learning for experience, not only for you, but a little bit for me, and also apparently for the bookstore and the publisher. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, so what are we going to be working on today? We are going to be working on starting with the plate tectonics lab, or no, that's not the right, I'm sorry, that's not the right lab. That's what I just did for GEO 110. There we go. We're going to start with the Igneous Rock Lab. It's important to take the exploration seriously. Once again, for part of it is I'm going to grade it. I'm going to grade everything very gently, but I do grade it. It's also a great way to make sure that you understand what's going on, that you've understood what's going on in the reading. So the quiz will look like this. And I'll basically test what you understand coming into it on igneous rocks. So let's jump straight to experiment. For this particular one, you're going to need some paper towels. You might need some water. I've got water right here. You're also going to need your rock set. So your rock set is the bigger set. It should say rock set, SI. And let's go ahead. It lists it right here. Samples 1 through 8. So yeah, so this is our rock kit. We're only looking at the first 8 samples. In your kit. We're going to walk through this using sample number 1. We're going to take a look at sample number 1, and we're going to try and identify sample number 1 to get, actually, let's do sample number 2. I think sample number 2, a lot of people are going to know to begin with. It's got a kind of a unique texture. That'll make a good one. So we're going to walk through this with sample number 2. So I don't know why Zoom does it as a mirror, but it does. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. So what you'll need, don't miss this. You're going to need, oh, this is the right thing, Sherry? You are screen sharing. Let me make sure that I'm sharing the right screen. Yeah, I am sharing the right screen. Okay. I didn't want to go through 20 minutes of explanation and then find out I was sharing the wrong screen. So this is this link in here. This is going to be really important for identifying your rock. So it says put on a pair of gloves. I'm going to be honest, that was way more important for minerals than it is for rocks. Some of your minerals contain lead, but that's not true of any of these rocks, you know, although your hands could get dirty. You're going to remove all the samples. You're going to take a picture and you're going to upload your picture to photo 1. So photo 1, you're going to want to take a picture of what that looks like. So this is just an example that they give there, but that's what your photo should look like. So you're gonna record your observations of, this is your data table. You can switch back and forth. I'm not gonna leave that up there forever because for some reason I don't have the option of doing this without like they're like, put teacher answers everywhere. I'm like, I have a PhD, I don't need answers. I'd like to show my students how to do this. But you put it in this data table down here. So looking at sample number 2, mine is pretty light colored. Okay, if you look at it. Now these are rocks. Most of them are not, when we say light colored, we don't mean like white, although some of your sedimentary rocks are going to be a little like actually true white. And you're going to record that. Then you're going to use the igneous rock identification chart to determine if it is felsic or mafic or intermediate. You may want to actually in your chart put things like, something that can be really helpful is if you're like, for this one, I would put this on the boundary between felsic and intermediate. If you can see the color there, felsic and intermediate. So you could actually do like felsic / intermediate. They don't give you that option in the directions, but you should be able to type it in. And put that in there. And then you record that in table 1. And you'll go through and do that for all the questions, and then identify your mineral based on what is listed in part 2 of the flow chart. These directions are really bad. These are terrible directions. These are really bad directions. Because once you identify this step is right, what I would have you do next is identify the texture. Because it's the texture that's really whether or not it's color and texture. And really it's not color, it's if it's felsic or mafic and the texture of it. And what do we mean by texture? Does it have big crystals? Does it have little crystals? Does it have bubbles? So my sample number 2 clearly has bubbles. Bubbles in geologic terms is vesicular. So because I know that it's felsic and or intermediate, somewhere in that range, and vesicular, I know that number 2 is pumice. I don't know why they have you do that step all the way down in step 10. This is not, they apparently totally messed up the minerals kits too. So, it's not great. I'm not super happy. This is my first time using this company, and we'll see if we do better in the next couple classes, but if this doesn't work better soon, they're not going to be the company we're using anymore. We're going to have to figure something else out. So, then once you're done with all of that, we're going to go ahead and go to evaluation. If you're not confident walking into the evaluation, don't, that's my phone. Don't do the evaluation. Like, don't do the evaluation step if you're not completely confident, because I can't reset it if your answers are wrong. So don't be afraid to take a breather and be like, hey, I'm going to go ask Dr. E about it. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the sedimentary lesson, because that's what's going to be due next week. Let's do this one. Same setup, exploration, experimentation is going to be really similar. So we're going to use a lot of the same kits, but you're going to use your mineral identification kit this time. Particularly what you're going to need, or my mineral identification kit. Is that in the little box? Where did I put that darn thing? Okay. Big. All that. You're gonna need your mineral identification kit. That is for GEO 131. Um, aha, there it is. It's in the box. I'm glad I found it. Probably gonna have to put this box in a bigger box because I've taken everything out and it doesn't fit anymore. All right. So this is your rock and mineral identification kit. And you'll definitely need this little bottle of acid for the sedimentary because a big question is, does it contain calcite? So here are your materials, safety goggles. The safety goggles are for the glass, for the acid. I'm going to go ahead. Really, with the acid, in my classroom, I don't make people wear goggles with this acid because it's very, very weak. The more important thing is if you get this acid on your hands, you're going to want to wash your hands because if you get it on your hands and then you rub your eyes, you are going to have a very bad day. And you may even have a trip to the doctor. But it's not super dangerous. It's a little bit more acidic than vinegar, but it's still not something that you want in your eyeballs. But directions say put on goggles. Now I've got my goggles on. I look very cool. You can look as cool as I do if you put your goggles on. So, let's go ahead and go to experimentation. Sedimentary rocks. So remove them from the kit, take a picture, put them back, and for me, you don't even have to do that. Just take a picture of the damn things in the kit. Take a picture of what's going on in the kit, and that'll be sufficient. I look so silly in this. This is not, first of all, I need better lighting. And also I just look like an alien. Anyways, so upload to the photo that's down here. Photo 1. Use the hand lens to describe whether sample 9 is classic, biogenic, or chemical. So we're going to pick up sample 9. Where is sample 9? Here's sample 9. Kind of difficult to see with the glasses on. I'm going to get it close to my eyes. And so you might be asking yourself, well, how can I tell? If it looks like, so look up close. Look at sample 9 up close. I'm going to try and bring it to the camera. Your sample 9 should be the same as my sample 9. And what I see is chunks of gravel. There are little chunks of gravel in there. And that should tell me something like fine gravel, very fine. So if it's gravelly, then it's going to be clastic. Okay. This is more, it would be helpful if you had a ruler so you can take a look at your grain size. Oh, I picked up the wrong thing. There's my sample 9 again. So in this one, I would probably take 2 separate answers for number 9. Because it's a mix of, my number 9 is a mix of particles that are greater than 2 millimeters. So where is a ruler? Drawer. I know I have one in my drawer. Hang on a second. I just brought everything down to my lab. Okay. We're not gonna worry be too concerned about that, but if you have a ruler, they want you to see more than 2 millimeters and they don't put a ruler in there. Estimate 2 millimeters is about a thickness as like the white part on your nails if your nails are reasonably well trimmed. So looking at this, a lot of these chunks are bigger than that. A good number are smaller than that. So once again, I would be stuck in between two different options. What is very clear in number 9 is that the fragments are pretty angular. They're not well rounded. They've got a lot of good angles on them. So in your chart over here, you're going to see more angular grains. How you can tell your composition has quartz grains versus feldspar grains. Once again, this is not great. Quartz grains tend to be like yellowish or whitish. Whereas feldspar can be all sorts of different colors. So if you see a mix of different colors, that's probably a good sign that you're looking at a lot of feldspar. Biogenic. You might be able to see shells. So I'm looking at different ones. Like if I look at number 12 right here, it may not be immediately obvious to you. You might be like, oh, but we see the impression of a lot of different shells. You also want to pay particular attention to the calcite. So a lot of people had a hard time with the mineral lab. So I'm just going to tell you straight up right now. The acid tells you whether or not there's calcite in it. If you put a little of it on there and it fizzes, that has calcite. If you put a little on there and there's no fizz, then there's no calcite. So I should have my goggles on. I'm not going to. This is ridiculous. So I'm going to put a little drop of acid on my number 12. And look, my acid is making it fizz like crazy. So some of these and you only need 1 drop. And once again, you're going to want to wash your hands immediately after the acid, because the acid, it's not going to hurt your hands, but boy, it's not going to be a good day if you get that in your eyes. So, so you want to determine whether or not there's calcite in there. This is terrible. Use the information in table 3 to determine. No, that's the other way around. If it scratches glass, if your rock sample scratches glass, it probably has quartz. If your rock sample fizzes with acid, it definitely has calcite. That should help narrow down which things are in there. Halite tastes salty. If you put acid on it, I wouldn't recommend licking it. Not good for your teeth. But that would be a telltale sign that you were looking at halite. And there is halite in there. I just looked at one and I was like, I bet that's salty. And I picked it up. What else in here? Iron rich minerals. Okay. That would be ironstone. What a bizarre one to include in a basic rock and mineral identification kit. Okay. And you're going to sign the name and record your sample in data table 1. If you're lost, if you're stuck, just email me, okay? If you're like, or even before you submit it, email me. Or we're still in the experimentation section. Don't be afraid to reach out to me and be like, hey, Dr. E, I can't figure out what these samples are. And you can redo everything. Everything can be redone, so don't stress out. Return the racks to dispose of your, oh, that's why you're wearing gloves. Yeah, you want to get, if you're wearing gloves, you really don't have a problem if you dispose of them. Just don't touch your eyes after touching that acid. It'll ring your bell for sure. And then you go on to evaluation. Oh, depositional environments, record your observations. I'm going to grade this part very gently because I usually don't have people do this part that we see here until historical geology because it's very difficult to understand without a full lecture on it, but do your best. I know this is not a perfect situation. You always can redo everything except the evaluation. So let's pretend we've gone all the way through this. Start evaluation. Don't hit back. I just want to make sure that okay, yeah, that looks finish. Okay. Oh, that shouldn't show you the answers. Let's back out of that window. So it doesn't involve the data table at all. You can redo the data table a ton of times, and this is really hard to do remotely. I don't think this is the perfect way to teach geology. I just know that a lot of my students need this because they work, because just for a lot of reasons. The students need an online geology class. And so just know that I'm here. And I'm here to help you. And I'm not mean. Okay, I really want you to do well. I want you to understand the stuff, but I want you to do really well. I don't want to fail any elementary ed or accountants, future accountants or future elementary school teachers because they didn't know which freaking rock they were looking at. you know but I do have to grade you, but everything, because there's been such problems with the kits and everything, particularly for this semester, everything's going to get graded really gently. Okay, so I don't want you to be worried. I don't want you to be stressed out. I'm going to end the recording here. I'm going to leave the Zoom open. This will always be, I'm going to be here the whole hour. I have to grade like a maniac anyways. So I'm just going to leave the Zoom open. And if you guys want to pop in during this time with questions, I'm here. Okay. I'm here and I want to help. And I haven't had a lot of connection with a lot of students. And yet I've seen a lot of struggle. And that's something I just really, hurts my heart to see my students struggle. And I can't help them because I don't know what they're struggling with or what the glitch is, but just know that you can always reach out to me. Okay. So namaste. Thank you for being my students. I'm going to stop the recording here, leave the Zoom open.